Good morning, ladies. Happy Monday. I hope everybody is doing well. Started December last month of the year. Make it count. But we are hopping on week 4, day 1 of Journey to Freedom, a daily Grace Co Bible devotion, a study on the life of Moses. And today it asks that we read Exodus chapter 16. And today's topic that we'll be discussing is representing God to the people and the people to God. And today's devotion goes like this. It's been nearly 2 months since the Israelites left Egypt, and now food supplies are running low. To show their resentment, the entire Israelite community comes grumbling to Moses and Aaron, referenced in Exodus chapter 16, verse 2. The people are not simply bringing a complaint, but they are stirring up rebellion. They cry out that it would have been better to die full in Egypt than to die hungry in the wilderness. The Israelites assert a serious claim. They would rather have perished in the judgment of God than have been saved by his mercy. They show ingratitude for the Lord's redemption in their lives and claim they truly stand with Pharaoh. God hears the grumbling of the Israelites and responds to address their needs. He tells Moses he will rain bread from heaven, referenced in Exodus chapter 16, verse 4. When bringing this word to the people, Moses criticized them for being angry with his and Aaron's leadership. He claims they are upset with God. Moses clarifies his role as mediator, as God's representative to the people. Moses brings direction and deliverance, but he does not possess the sole authority to dictate what their journey to the promised land entails. Aaron tells them to bring their anger before God because he is present to hear their complaints. As Aaron is speaking, the glory of God appears in a cloud. At this sight, it is probable that the Israelites do not utter a word. God speaks to Moses, telling them that the Israelites will be full and know Yahweh has satisfied them. God supplies their food miraculously, giving them nourishment without any effort of their own. In the evening, quail come and rest on their campgrounds. The people can likely catch the birds easily. In the morning, dew turns into fine grain, called manna for bread making. Though the quail comes only one time, the people are giving manna every day, and they gather just enough to feed the number of household members for each day. Some families take more than others, but each person receives their needed amount. When evening comes, there is no surplus or shortage. God's daily grace is sufficient for them. But there are some in the community who do not trust God to bring new manna each morning. They ration one day's supply and store the leftovers for later. As a result, the manna rots and attracts maggots. Moses is angry with them for their actions. These people do not realize that God is their ultimate provider, and they attempt to rely on themselves. However, their efforts come up short and bring death to their household. When the 6th day comes, the Israelites gather a double portion of manna according to God's instruction. Definitely needing some coffee this morning. They are to bake and boil the food God supplies They are to bake and boil the food supply collected and keep it for tomorrow. The Lord has instituted a holy Sabbath, referenced in Exodus chapter 16, verse 23. On the Sabbath day, the Israelites will rest from their work and travels. God will also rest from providing manna that morning. Through this observance, God is setting the Israelites apart from the surrounding cultures. The Egyptians did not have a concept of rest during the day of the week. As slaves in Egypt, the Israelites worked continuously, tiring their bodies and spirits from the nonstop labor. God is showing that he cares for physical and spiritual rejuvenation as well as productivity. Rest will also bring communion. Sustained by the sweet manna prepared the day before, the Israelites will have a dedicated time to be present with their households and together reflect on the goodness of God. Unfortunately, some of the Israelites do not observe the Sabbath and go out to gather manna. Remember, manna is bread. But they did not find any. Work, not rest, is still a part of their rhythm. They think their efforts will sustain them, and they ignore the time of rest that would point them to the true sustainer. The Lord comes to Moses and rebukes the Israelites by asking, "How long will you refuse to keep my commands and instructions?" Reference in Exodus chapter 16, verse 28. As the covenant mediator, Moses also represents the people of Israel to God. He bears the brunt of God's chastisement on the Israelites' behalf. Moses takes his message back to the Israelites, emphasizing the importance of Sabbath. They will commemorate this time in the wilderness by collecting a portion of the manna and placing it before the Lord. They will remember that God supplied their need by his daily provision. In today's reading, we begin to see Moses operate as the covenant mediator. Because God is holy, his covenant is maintained through intercession, which occurs when a chosen representative steps in, advocates, and petitions for the blessings of God's people. Moses goes before the Lord and the Israelites to relay God's command and brings the sins of people to God. Jesus is a true covenant mediator, who, as a sacrificial lamb, never stops interceding on our behalf in the Father's presence. Jesus is also the bread of life, referenced in John chapter 6, verse 35. He is the manna sent from heaven, whose broken body sustains us and gives us eternal life. And that is all for today's devotion, ladies. There are 3 questions. I'll post them at the bottom of the video. First question is, how is Moses handling his role as a mediator so far? Second question is, what do you attempt to sustain yourself by your own effort? When do you attempt to sustain yourself by your own effort? And the last question, what ways has God provided in your life? And that is all for today's devotion. I hope you ladies enjoyed it, as did I. If you'd like to converse about it, send me a message. I hope you have an awesome start of the week. Let's get this day going. Talk to y'all later.